Hello, guys, and welcome to the Cyber Panelist Forum hosted by the Q Project. And today I am hosting it alongside Solomon Denning. So,
Hello.
some logistics to take care of. Only the panelists and sometimes hosts will be answering the questions. All audience questions should be submitted in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. And please be respectful to everyone here. So a quick introduction to what the Q Project is. So the Q Project is an interdisciplinary school organization that is homegrown at UC Merced. And the goal here is to create an inclusive, diverse space so that individuals from all different kinds of backgrounds would be able to come together and advance their professional development, no matter their major, sexual orientation, gender, origin, race, or most importantly, socioeconomic status. We have at least 5 divisions focusing on different areas, from cybersecurity to team management to simple student advocacy. And the Q Project is undergraduate proposed, owned, and facilitated. And so, what are we doing now? What is the Q Project doing nowadays? So, we've been hosting a cyber workshop series every week on Thursdays, and that workshop series is actually an official security campaign on our IT school's website. We have workshops such as Pi-hole, SSH tunneling, even different red team workshops such as object injection. We also have a 3D printing workshop where we have 3D printers at our houses during this time, of course, and we 3D print objects, maybe some for our cyber division or just in general, learning about 3D printing. And we also have a drone workshop and division where we build a race drone from scratch and can and these frames, instead of buying them, we actually get them from our 3D printing division, and we design and 3D print them ourselves. So let's go on to the main event. The panelists today, we have Mel Denning, Elise Lynn, Nathan Melwani, Faizan Wani, and our hosts are me, Armand Kapoor, and Solomon Denning. So we're going to start with a quick icebreaker. I know everyone hates these, but we still have to do this. So one we're going to do is you're going to tell us about yourself and give us 3 fun facts. So I'll go first. So my name is Armand Kapoor. I am a 30-year student at University of California, Merced. My major is computer science and engineering, and my minor is in management, analytics, and decision making. 3 fun facts. One is my minor's acronym is MAD, so I think that's pretty funny. My second fun fact is that I love to ride my bike in the evening and morning or any time of the day. And the third fun fact is that I love to code. Just I code every day, even on my bike sometimes. So, Solomon, you want to go next?
Yeah. So hello. My name's Solomon Denning. I'm also a third-year computer science engineering major at UC Merced. And 3 fun facts about me. One would be that I'm pretty good into music. I like playing guitar and making beats. Another fun fact is I enjoy sports. I like basketball and baseball. And a third fun fact is that I invited my uncle on here to be a panelist. So if you see the last names that are the same, that's because we're related. So yeah, thank you for coming, Mel.
All right.
You're
Mel,
welcome.
you want to go next?
Sure. I'm an assistant professor. I've been doing it for around 14 years of information technology. We actually offer 3 associate degrees. One of them is cybersecurity, network and cybersecurity. One is associates in computing, and one is network and system admin. I am the program head over the program. We have 2 full-time professors. 3 fun facts. Well, that's a good one. I love to fish. I love to go kill moose every year and caribou in the winter. And I love to play with all the rabbits that are around here that come out. And we have, 7 or 9 chihuahuas that we raise up here. That's just to keep the bears away. And I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I quite agree on the Chihuahua part. They are pretty scary.
Yeah.
They scare away humans too. Okay, Nathan, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Nathan. I'm a first-year computer science major at UC Riverside. 3 facts about me: I play the violin, I like watching basketball, and I have a pet bird, parakeets.
What are the names?
The bird, because it's Kramer. It's
Creamer.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. Elise.
What's up, everyone? My name is Elise. I am a 4th year at UC Riverside, and I study computer science with business applications. Let's see. 3 fun facts about myself. I bleached my hair over the quarantine. I play the viola. And what was it? The last one. I don't know. I love learning classical music on my free time for the piano.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Elise. Faizan.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Fazan and I am from India, Jammu and Kashmir to be very precise. And I am a final year student, but I have been, in the industry for like 4 to 5 years. I am the chief cybersecurity consultant at Kashmir Youth Web, and we have a small news network of our own. And apart from that, I do teach web application penetration testing at one of the institutes here in India. I'm mainly focused on bug bounty hunting and stuff. So yep, that's pretty much about me. And 3 fun facts about me are, firstly, I have done my engineering in civil background, so I have been doing a lot of structure stuff and all that stuff. A second fun fact is that I like, warfare games. Before this session, I was just playing Modern Warfare 3. And apart from that, third fun fact is just I like music and cycling a lot.
Thank you, Faizan. I'm more of a Black Ops kind of guy myself, but Modern Warfare sounds pretty cool too. So let's go next. So our questions are broken down into different subjects. And the first one is your personal/career. So our first question is, how did you get started in cybersecurity? What truly interested you to get into this field? So let's go start with Nathan.
Cool. So I got started with cybersecurity when I played Pico CTF in high school. Prior to that, I just did like some CS stuff in my free time, and I took like an AP computer science class. So I had some like background on technical stuff that I could use to solve problems. So Pico CTF lasts for like a week or so. So I had a lot of fun going through everything with friends and solving it out. And after I did that, I was like, okay, cool. I want to do more of this. I did another CTF and just kept going and going and going until I got interested in it. So yeah, that's how I got started. And what truly interested me in it is that it was just interesting. More than just like basic coding, like looking at the applications of something, like how to defend it, how to break it. I thought that was pretty cool. And that's why I got started in it.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Elise, you want to give us your insight?
Yeah, for sure. So I got started in my 2nd year of college with the Cybersecurity Club at UCR. And the main thing the club does is the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition, which some of you may have heard. It's called CCDC. And in there, basically, the competition provides very hands-on, I want to say like events or scenarios that you'll face, or that, I don't know, maybe security engineers face in a day-to-day life. And I think this experience really differentiated or was very different compared to classes and lectures where you are getting a lot of theoretical information. So yeah, from there, I've just stuck with the club, and we've currently branched out to more offensive security and sometimes dabbling in CTFs.
What directed you to the club, if I may ask?
I think it was just the marketing on the general computer science club, and I was like, all right, I'll give this a try, if that makes sense. Just kind of like wandering in.
Okay, thank you, Elise, for sharing. Faizan, you want to go ahead?
Yep, for sure. Actually, it was 5 years ago. I started with YouTubing, so I had a small time YouTube channel of my own, and it was that time it used to be a craze for everyone, like to have a YouTube channel. And I started my YouTube channel, and I gained approx 500 subscribers. But all I did was just copy pasting the content, or just googling out stuff and then presenting that to my audience. But that fascinated my audience because the way I presented was outstanding. But the satisfaction level I achieved by doing this stuff wasn't up to the mark. So I thought that, hey, I should go into the deep of this stuff. I used to present stuff like how you could root your smartphones, how you can just play around Metasploit, and how you can just use the Termux stuff in your Android smartphones. So I used to do stuff like it was very simple. It was copy pasted, to be very honest. But it motivated me a lot to learn in depth of things, and I developed an interest in the field.
Is there anything specific that drove you to create or become a YouTube creator?
Not that much specific, but at that time, it was a pretty new thing to me because comparatively, I belong to a place here, from here you will see very less people interested in cybersecurity. I belong to Jammu and Kashmir, and internet in itself here is often cut many a times. So people are less interested in this field, and they don't even know that this field exists. So that motivated me to try something new, try something different, and I gave it my shot.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Faizan. Mel?
Welcome.
Yeah, hi. I got into cybersecurity. I retired out of the Navy as an engineering officer, and I was just kind of watching the grass grow for a year because I figured I'm not going to do anything. And then I got scammed by a Verizon scam. And what it was, I just got new internet to my house and everything. And they had the new Fios. And I'm like, oh, yeah, everything's good. Set up with my credit card to make the payment. And I got an email that said that your credit card was not correct. Please click on this link and enter your information. Well, I was smart enough to go ahead and call Verizon first. So I called Verizon and I said, is this your email? And they said, yes. And I entered my information. Within an hour, I had thousands of dollars of credit card charges illegal on my account. So I got really upset. I called Verizon. They said, we don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, oh, great. Okay, so I've been scammed, and Verizon allowed it to happen. So I tried to take them to court. Of course, they had two big lawyers there, and I lost the whole thing because they claimed they didn't have any recordings, which, of course, when you call them, the first thing it says is, everything you say is being recorded for quality assurance purposes. So after that, when I moved up to Alaska, I said, you know what, I'm going into cybersecurity. I'm going to figure out what these people are doing. So I went ahead and went through the whole program all the way up through a master's, got my cybersecurity stuff, got all my industry certifications, CE8, Security Plus, CCNA, CCENT. I did all of them just to make sure that I knew what I was doing. And then in the process of going through all of that, the college that I graduated from, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, said, hey, we'd like to hire you as a professor. I'm like, oh, cool, okay. So I was fortunate enough to get into the actual position where I'm actually teaching it now. But I never did find those crooks, but I'm still looking. Eventually I will. And that's how I got into it. And it's a really interesting field. It is growing so much, especially up here. We have two big bases up here, an Air Force base and an Army base. And they really are trying to get our cybersecurity students because of this fact. CompTIA Sec Plus, that particular industry certification, they will not, none of their people in IT can get a clearance or work in IT without that. So they are big on security right now. And that's all the basis. I mean, I don't know about in California how it works, but I'm pretty sure it's probably the same. And that's it.
Well, thank you, Mel. You have, I think you have a pretty interesting story there, and I do hope you catch those crooks or whoever's listening. Be scared of Mel because he's coming for you. All right. So the next question was, why cyber and not software development? I know this question might not apply to everyone, so if you don't wish to answer it, just let us know. Nathan?
I don't think they're really separate. I think they go together to a certain extent. I'm personally interested in both, so I'm doing both.
Interesting. Elise?
Personally, for me, coming into university without too much computer science background, I felt like I didn't grasp software development concepts too well. And what I liked about cyber from the first, or like from firsthand experience, was that it gave more like realistic hands-on experience. Whereas with software development, you're working with a lot of like, I guess I want to say it works more at a larger scale. But like Nate mentioned as well, I do believe that software development and cybersecurity come hand in hand. So would like to kind of get back on that track later on in the future.
Okay, awesome. Faizan?
I believe that these two fields are somewhat relevant, as Nathan said, because obviously in cybersecurity we have to do code reviews, and there is something called as safe coding practice. And even in software development, we have a testing team for software, whether there are any flaws, and you can really extend them to those kinds of vulnerabilities that are related to your software. That can be a buffer overflow or anything. So I think that they are pretty much similar, but one most important, kind of difference that is, a cybersecurity team will always have to go, if you are into the red teaming side, so you'll be going from the front end, attacking the front end. But eventually, if you're a software developer, you have to start from the back end, going from code by code, one line by line. But eventually, if I have to target a web application that is not known to me, or I don't have the source code of that particular application, I'll go from front end. I'll be looking at how it passes its data and all that stuff. So it is a little bit hygienic, I'll say, and it is, ideal to keep pace with, and it is kind of, smooth. The transactions involved, data transactions involved in cybersecurity are somewhat smooth, although if you go in depth of everything, that becomes really complex. But from the upper layer, it's really smooth for anyone, and newbies in cybersecurity can really, it's just an nmap scan or all that stuff, whatever you do. It can start from pretty basics, but if you're going into an in-depth code review, you have to understand every aspect of the code.
Okay. Thank you, Faizan. Mel, do you want to give us your professional insight?
Yeah, why cyber and not software development? Well, I'm on a couple of committees here in Fairbanks. I'm on the Fairbanks Memorial Hospital, which is the largest hospital here in Alaska, in the interior. And I'm on their IT committee, so we approve all of their funding for security and stuff like that. And what I'm seeing in the industry is that coding itself is not as needed as familiarity with Microsoft security tools, AWS Cloud, Microsoft Azure. These are the things that they're using in the industry that they want people to have knowledge of, because it's basically, it's software prepackaged already that they're using. They just have people there in case something goes wrong. So the coding part of it is fine, but it's already there, it's already built. So it's better to be familiar with all these different systems that they have set up. And cyber is the way to go. Unless you want to move to Seattle and you want to work for like Microsoft or something and develop things, and software is great. And there's a lot of money in that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting down software development, but cyber is the thing of the future. It really is. And a lot of it's so prepackaged. I mean, that's like with coding. I went and I learned Java and I learned Python. That's all I've ever needed, you know, to do basically anything within the cyber community. So that's just something that, you know, I mean, because I look more at the industry. What's the industry doing out there? Because our students need jobs, and they have to get within a job. They need the skills for those jobs. And that's it.
Well, thank you, Mel. So we'll move on to the next question. So what advice do you give to people when they're on the fence, when they have to choose between a cyber position in the industry versus a software development position in the industry? Nathan, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I'm only a first year in college. I don't think I can really answer this one as good as everybody else can, but if I had to say something, it would be like, just choose what you think is more interesting. So yeah.
Elise?
Would like to second, choose anything you think that's interesting, but definitely give cyber a try.
Faizan?
I'll say that whenever you have to choose between the two fields, you have to bang your keyboard every time, whether you're in the cybersecurity or you're in software development. Just look at your satisfaction level wherever you feel that your heart will work together with your brain. You get those vibes that, hey, this is my thing. This is the thing that I can do with my heart, with my brain, with my soul. So if you get those kind of vibes in software development or in cybersecurity, then you know which field to choose.
Okay, thank you. Mel, do you want to give us your insight?
Yeah, I would, you know, I would tell them, look at what area you plan on working at and living at, and then look at the job positions that they have there, and then focus on which one of these two fields is going to give you the best opportunity. Because in the end, that's what it's all about. It's about getting a good paying job down the road. So I would pick cyber if it was me, but that's just because of the area I'm in.
Well, if everyone else here picked software development, then they would be in the wrong place. So, in the internet, when you search up cyber learning and whatever, you find a whole boatload of resources, some good, some bad. But when you're looking at certain resources for cyber, when you're looking up stuff, how do you navigate directly to those good resources? Nathan, do you want to hop on?
Yeah, so in my experience, the popular resources are popular for a reason. So I'll just go on like some kind of forum and see what people suggest, or go to like a Discord server, people talk about like certain thing. So if I want to learn like binary exploitation, I'll go into like the CTF Discord and just ask people who are good at it, how would you learn? And they'll recommend some popular resources, and I'll look between like 2 or 3 of them and just choose randomly, because if they're popular, they're good. They're popular for a reason. Yeah.
Elise?
Echoing the same thing once again, but it's just like, yeah, anything that has been peer approved are typically good resources.
Peer approved. Okay. Faizan?
Yep, that's actually true. There are many good resources to consider, but I believe that one should try out at least 2 to 4 resources, and there is a level of perception for everyone. If you can't get understand from one resource, maybe you could get things cleared out from another. Today we are living in the world of YouTube, Google, and we have other blogs, and we have even books are there. There are specific books for specific cyber industries. So, I believe that we should always consider a mix of resources and try to clear out concepts in labs rather than depending on theoretical knowledge. And that's the best way to go.
Okay. Thank you. Mel?
Yeah, I concur with them. Labs hands-on are the best way to learn anything that deals with cyber. There are a lot of resources out there. One that I particularly give to my students when they're going up for a certification is called Professor Messer. online, free videos. I mean, he'll walk you through all the different objectives of the certifications and stuff and explain them to you, how everything works. And it's totally free. You know, I mean, you've got to spend some time. You can spend hours watching for one certification, but in the end, it's worth it. Instead of going to like these different little boot camp things where they're just going over questions and answers. You don't learn anything that way, you know, and that's what we try to emphasize with our students is learn the material. Don't learn the test, learn the material.
Yeah, you truly have to understand the material so that you can learn how to apply it. That's why hands-on definitely works. I know it works for like different areas as well, not just cyber, software development, just math in general, science. So let's move on to the next question. So in cyber, there's a bunch of news coming on, like on the CNN or Fox News, where oh, this company got hacked, that company got hacked. Oh, this new exploit came out. Oh, you got to update your iPhone, you got to update your Mac. So the question here is, how do you stay on top of the current cyber news? Nathan?
Probably Twitter. I follow a few like popular people in the InfoSec community, and they always comment on something when it happens. And everything I don't see from Twitter, I see from like Reddit or something else like that, but mainly Twitter.
So Twitter, okay. Elise?
I also catch most of my news from Twitter. But another thing we have, so at work, we have a Slack, like a Slack page for it. And in there, there's a channel where we can set up an RSS feed, where it basically collects articles from multiple news sources and just displays them in there.
Faizan?
I don't use Twitter a lot, but to stay, in touch with all the news affairs, I use Telegram. There are multiple channels in Telegram that can deliver you the updated news, what happened yesterday, what is happening currently, and all that stuff. Apart from that, if a new CVE is published, I get the daily updates and all that stuff. That too is eventually deployed in those groups. And apart from that, when I joined ICMP panel, that too I came to know from a Telegram channel. So I believe that Telegram channels are pretty much effective ways, even if there is a data breach. So, some news may not reach to the public surface or plain internet, but, on Telegram, I believe there are pretty much instances where you get updated about all the stuff.
Okay. Thank you. Faizan? Mel?
Yeah, I actually use a lot of different organizations that I mean, you can become membership in it and they'll send you feeds on everything on what's going on and what's new. One of the good ones that's based out of California is called Western Academy Support and Training Center, WASTE. And they send out virtual things all the time and they have meetings down there. And Garden Grove was the last one where we all went and they talked about all the new updated stuff, the new threats, the new tools that they have out there. And I think it's only like $100 or something to join. I think anybody can. I'm pretty sure your university or college is probably a part of it. I don't know, but that's basically how I look at it. I look at it that way. And believe it or not, I keep up to date a lot of times. Like I have a 261 class, which teaches the CompTIA Sec Plus. I give assignments to the students each week. One of their assignments is tell me about a new threat that came out this week and how they stopped it and what tools they used. So I learn a lot from the students actually, because they're the ones doing a lot of the research for the grade. So I'm like, hey, this works for everybody.
Yeah, students. That's pretty cool. That's if you have students. One way I use it, or I keep on current on cyber news, is Hacker News by Y Combinator. Have you guys heard of that? So that's one of my main resources. Other resources are just different Discord bots placed in various Discord servers out there, and I just get my news from there. Also, Fox News, CNN, the big wigs. So let's go on to the next question. Solomon, you want to take this?
Yeah. All right. So most of you guys know that these big tech companies, they're pretty good on their data security, but if you ever look into like small businesses across like the US and I guess in other countries as well, most of them aren't doing data security. Like they're doing the bare minimum. So the question is, do you agree that data security is undervalued in most companies? And then if you want to just explain like why you think so and what these companies should be doing differently. So I'll start with Nathan.
So before I started working like a job, I thought that yes, it was definitely undervalued in certain companies. And I still think it's sort of undervalued, just depending on the company. But like I realized how much it takes to actually secure like what a company has. There's so many different things that could be wrong. And if a single one is wrong, then your data is like it's taken, right? Or compromised or whatever. Um, so I don't think it's like undervalued, but it's just like it's very, very difficult to have everything secured and keep the data safe no matter what. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. All right, Elise.
Yeah, I do think security is slightly undervalued by most companies because at the end of the day, let's say if you're creating a product, they want the product to function over than having the right security because companies are technically on like a time limit when it comes to like producing and getting revenue back.
Yeah. All right, Faizan.
Yeah, there is no doubt in this thing that data security is very, very much undervalued in most companies. Not only data security, but user security and session security and all that, that sums up to cyber security as a whole. It's everything is undervalued. Talking of, average companies, not of big giants like Google and Microsoft, but normal companies that run on a national level. Like I'll talk of my nation, India. We had a data breach in previous month or so, and everyone's data was available for sale. Even Domino's web application was hacked, and everyone's credit card and all that stuff that was really available for sale on the dark net. And eventually, I used to order pizzas from my credit card, and that's really bad for me. Yep, I'll really agree on this. And apart from that, I believe that there should be more responsible disclosure programs that companies should offer. And even if companies offer, I have seen there is a lot of injustice being done to the in the part of researchers. That if I find a valid bug in your application, you are bound to at least acknowledge that. But companies, average type companies, they don't even acknowledge, and bounty is a very far thinking point of view. I had a friend who found a remote code execution in one of the applications here, and a remote RCE is one of the it's a very critical bug that if you found an RCE, you'll be getting the whole system control for sure. But he was just paid $50 for that, and that is a person, if he is spending a lot of time, a lot of energy in the research and stuff. And I guess that even if you can't pay the person, but you should be acknowledging the person with an open heart rather than just throwing a $50 note on his face and telling him to go off. So we have to change a lot of stuff in the perspective most companies look cybersecurity. So one thing is just acknowledgement of if I had a flaw, I have to change it and I have to get it done. So there is a lot of work to be done in this industry, and that is why essentially it will flourish a lot in the coming time.
Yeah, I definitely agree that a lot of companies they're a little hesitant to release bugs that they have or to like want to announce them, even though they should be doing it. It's just like they got to change the way that they are doing it all. All right, Mel.
I do think that it's undervalued, but I also think that the evolving threats that we have makes it impossible for them to stay at the forefront. That's why you see a lot of these large companies here, and probably in California too, that are reliant upon insurance now. they're actually trying to place the burden upon an insurance company in case they get a ransomware attack and all their stuff gets locked up and somebody requests so many thousand Bitcoins or whatever. But the insurance companies have gotten smart. And what they've done is they've now required anybody that gets any kind of data security insurance, these companies, that they have to maintain a certain amount of Bitcoin in a bank account that they can pay the ransom just in case. And we're talking millions of dollars. We're not talking, $1,000 here, $2,000 there. So data security is undervalued, but I don't necessarily lay the blame strictly upon the companies themselves because of the resources and the cost it is to actually put it at the forefront and keep it there at all times. I mean, think about it this way: if a hospital gets hit and all of their records are now gone, they're locked until somebody pays. Well, what's the option that company really has? Go to their insurance and say, will you please pay this $1 million? And the insurance company's going to come back on them and say, well, use your Bitcoin amount first, and then we'll take the rest of it. So yeah, I think it is undervalued, but I also think that our solution to this, believe it or not, is that the government gets involved in a way, and I know not everybody, but a lot of people hate this government overreach stuff. But when it comes to cybersecurity and stuff, they need to take an active role and to where they use all their resources to protect a lot of these major companies that we have. That's just my 2 cents on it.
All right. Yeah, that is a good point. I think money's always a big issue with it. It's either you're gonna pay money to protect it at the beginning, or you're gonna pay money to handle the blow of a data breach or some other security breach. All right, so the next question is, do you think that data security has any constraints due to growing demand for data privacy? So I know here in California, I think it was back in 2016 when they released their first, or we voted, and they created like California data privacy something. It basically allows us to be able to request what data companies have on us, have them send it to us as like a zip, all that good stuff, have companies delete data. And I know in Europe, they've been doing this for a while now too. So the question is just that, do you think that the data privacy, where more and more people want control of their data and they want to know where their data is at and where it's going, do you think that's affecting data security for companies? And I'll start with Nathan.
I mean, I'm not too sure, but if I had to answer, I'd say like, how could it not? Like Discord, for example, you can request like all the information for your Discord account, like all the messages you sent, all the attachments you sent, everything, and you'll get it within like a few hours. So if all the data is like able to be aggregated like that so quickly, then it must be like organized in a way that would be like organized in a way to where other people could like find it that quickly. So yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right, Elise.
I think data security does not have that many constraints due to growing demand for data privacy. I might be interpreting this question incorrectly, let me know, but I think that with increasing amount of data privacy, individuals are getting a better or having a better understanding of what kind of data they're releasing as well.
Yeah. No, you're answering it fine. It's a pretty open-ended question. All right. Faizan?
I believe that to some extent, yes, it can act as a constraint to your data security, because at the end of the day, it will also depend on the company that what they decide to show the forefront user. Fine, if I'm a total unknown person, okay, if you may be aware of the fact that data privacy isn't only about the way data travels between your cables, networks, and all that stuff, but it is also about how your data is stored at a data center, all that stuff. And even, talking of a company like Google, they released a YouTube video last year or somewhat near about it. They showed all of their data center and how, their security is managed and all that stuff. Although that was obfuscated, that won't be the real one. But still, you in reconnaissance field of cybersecurity, even if you are giving out a little bit information, even it may be a small bit of information, but it's really considered very, very important. And coming to the web part of things, if you are releasing information, hey, this is the mechanism we will be using, this is the encryption standard that we will be using for your data. There are supercomputers one can use to crack even the most secure algorithms. And apart from that, if you are even showing off users, hey, we are using this kind of firewall, maybe tomorrow one can launch a sophisticated attack against that firewall in case of a 0 day or anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Mel.
Yeah, I think data security has constraints when it comes to data privacy in a sense. A lot of the apps and everything now, they require you to opt out if you want to keep your data private. Now, I read something the other day that some of the companies that control the apps were going to change it to opt in, which actually makes a lot more sense to me, because of the fact that now it seems like at the very beginning you have a choice on whether you want your data shared or not. But they do collect a lot of data. It's all about money. Everything's always about money when it comes to these companies and what they produce and all that. And just remember this: number one, nothing's secure, period, when it comes to computers. Once you plug in that Ethernet cable, that's it. Okay, nothing's secure. You could try to be secure as you possibly can, but you cannot be totally 100% secure unless you unplug it and you just have a standalone system, which means you can do nothing. But as far as data privacy goes, a lot more people are demanding privacy, and they're demanding that their information not be shared. But if they want something for free, and that's another thing, nothing is for free, right? You download something from the internet, you think it's a free game or a free app, and it always comes with some stupid malware or something in it, and you're like, what's going on? So I guess it goes back to the old adage, you get what you pay for. So that's basically my take on that.
Yeah, I can add about the opting in too. I think if I'm correct, you're talking about Apple, because Apple has just recently put out an update. I think it was like iOS 14.5, and it was in beta for months. I was using the beta, and Facebook was really mad about it because they transitioned to an opt-in for tracking. So every app you open now will give you a prompt on your iPhone asking if you want that app to track your data. And I think they said from like their research and polls before the update came out that it was estimated that 70% of iPhone users are going to opt out, just like all apps opt out. And that kind of freaked out a lot of companies to just realize that Apple had the power to just in one update remove most of their tracking ability from users. But I do believe that is the best way to do it. I don't like the opting out. I like to be able to opt in to track my data. All right. So back to another cybersecurity question rather than just data privacy and data security. What topics in cybersecurity do you think need more research? I'll start with Nathan.
Pretty much everything, I guess. As time goes on, as things get more advanced, everything that gets more advanced, which is pretty much everything, would need more research. Specifically, I'm not too sure like what. But yeah, just like everything you can think of as it gets more advanced, you need to know more about it to be able to defend against it or to just know about it. So yeah.
All right. Elise?
Yeah, I agree. Along the lines of that, anything that is new in technology, such as like new programming languages or new systems, since I know like cloud is a very like quote unquote hot topic in security right now, as well as the language Golang. A lot of new companies are using it, and there is not much known about it in terms of security, but I think with a little more research that can be answered.
Yeah. All right, Faizan.
Yep. I believe that cybersecurity is research in itself. So every part of cybersecurity demands more research, more efforts, and more everything, to be very honest. Even if you're trying one of the oldest fields in cybersecurity and one of the newest fields, in the past few days, few months, there is a field, malware analysis in itself has gained pretty much importance in cybersecurity rather than, people were back 1 or 2 years, people were much focused into network pen testing, and everyone was just about pen testing, and pen testing. But malware analysis is now gaining importance and all that stuff. But still, I believe that there is much to do in every field. I won't be going any field specific because every field has its own importance. But if I would have to choose any field, I'll definitely go for malware analysis and reverse engineering.
All right, Mel.
Yeah, I agree that all of them need to be looked at, especially cloud computing. But one of the interesting things that I was researching on last year was quantum computing. Quantum computing it's such a field that if they're able to actually produce computers and chips that are small enough that don't overheat, that can actually do it, they're saying, now this is what they say, they're saying that they can break our encryption. And if they can break our encryption, that means they can break the internet when it comes to, because nobody's going to trust doing banking or anything, any kind of encryption, if they think it can be broken and stolen along the way. So quantum computing, I think, is a big field that we need to be watching when it comes to cyber, and see that the new technologies that they're going to produce. They're already working on it. They've been working on it for, I don't know, a couple years now. But that's something to keep an eye on, because remember, everything runs on encryption. That's why people trust the internet, is because of encryption. And without it, I don't know. I think our internet's gone. But that's my 2 cents.
I wanted to add to what Mel said. So I totally agree with you how we need to focus more on quantum computers. And I know that quantum computers can easily break RSA encryption in like a matter of like milliseconds, or I guess nanoseconds. And we just have to, instead of encrypting more, we have to shift the entire encryption algorithm space into something that is more quantum safe, quantum cracking safe. So basically, it's safe under a quantum computer trying to break your encryption. For example, Shor's algorithm. I think that one is that's a type of encryption that is cryptographically safe against quantum computers. And one more thing I want to add was this quote I remember from LinkedIn, is that the more you learn, actually, the more you learn in cybersecurity, the more there is to learn. I think I think I'm saying that wrong, but basically you get the idea that the more you research in cybersecurity, there's just an exponential amount of information out there about cybersecurity that you need to learn even more. So we'll go on to the next question. This would be my question. So, do you develop and deploy any cyber strategies in your home network? We'll start with Nathan.
In my home network, not really. Because my home network just consists of like my like computer and then like my parents, my siblings, their computers. Everything by default is like pretty secure. No one's gonna like, or I don't really think it's necessary to secure anything on my home network. It feels a little too like extra in a way. I could be thinking about that wrong, but that's how I see it. Um, yeah, like I've still practiced like setting up the cyber strategies in like a home lab, right? But not on like my, but that's like air gapped, quote unquote. But in my home network itself, not really, no.
Okay, Elise.
Along the same lines, yes, like the home network does have like my parents and my siblings as well. So I don't go out of my way to apply any cyber strategies, especially when my dad works as a systems administrator. That's kind of like he can just take care of that himself. But I guess theoretically, if I had my own home lab and if I moved out and had my own home network, maybe if I wanted to apply some practice, it could go in there.
Okay, thank you, Elise. Mel.
Yeah, I don't do anything extra except for I have two networks set up. One is that I'll use for my secure stuff like my banking and VMs and going into my virtual network, stuff like that. Whereas the other one, I don't care because everybody in the house can use it. And if they get a virus, I'll take care of it down the road. It's not going to affect anything. I'm not going to lose anything with it. So yeah, I guess you could consider I have a segmented network with two different systems. So, I mean, that's about all I do.
I think that is a cyber strategy about like segmenting your network and stuff. So that's pretty good. Thank you, Mel, for sharing. So now the next group of questions or question would be technical. So feel free to answer this or feel free to pass. So the first one is, let's say you've been given a website that offers products and users can write comments on that product or products. And so how would you, if you were tasked with it, to protect the website? And this is a blue team question. And please feel free to get as creative as possible. So Nathan, you want to start us off?
So if the users can write comments, then you have to like input filter, or like you need to make sure whatever the user writes in their comment can't be like used maliciously. If the website offers products, I'm not too sure how to answer this. From like a, because if it's just the like writing comments part, then you just need to like filter their input, make sure nothing gets through that, or making sure their input doesn't get interpreted in a way it should not get interpreted in. As for protecting the website, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for now. If I think of something else, I'll say it.
Of course. Elise?
I guess in the same way, it's mainly about input sanitization. So making sure that the user input is properly like processed, that you're checking or like filtering that. I don't want to keep using the same word input, but that the input is properly parsed, making sure that it won't bounce anywhere deep into the server and return something you don't expect back.
Mel? You're muted.
Sorry about that.
No problems. Hazards of distance learning.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? I would agree with what they said. You know, you got secure HTML and just ensuring that you don't have SQL attacks and stuff. So writing a good website, designing a good website in the beginning is where it all starts, I think. And then once you've got a good one, just monitoring it. And if you need to make any changes, tweak here, tweak there. Because there are a lot of different attacks that you know, those scammers out there will be trying to do against your website. And that's it.
Of course. I know you guys mentioned parsing. Parsing is a big thing. And if users can write comments, perhaps this website also employs some sort of user authentication. So with the user authentication, you have to be wary of different types of attacks. Attacks against the OAuth standard, attacks resulting in or using CRSF. You have to deploy CRSF tokens. You have to employ session tokens as well as that, not just DOM clobbering or just import sanitization. And one more thing is you have to be wary of what kind of parser you're using, because some parsers are pretty bad and outdated, and you have to make sure that the parser that you're using actually parses it good and there isn't any sort of exploit for that specific parser. So a question along the same lines: how would you penetration test the same website? This is more red team. I think we discussed a little bit, but Nathan, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, so just see how the input is sanitized. Probably won't help, but like, or yeah, we forget I said that, but see how input's sanitized. If it's not sanitized, you could do like, what's it called? Cross-site scripting, but I don't see how that would really help in this case. Or I guess it would be like a stored cross-site scripting attack if you could like write a comment and the same comment, the malicious code is stored on someone else's thing, someone else's computer. Session tokens, like you said, see how they're implemented. If someone, you can try and take over someone else's account by getting into or by figuring out how their session cookies or whatever works. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Nathan. Elise?
Yeah, I think it's also trying to see if you can get any kind of result back that you're not expecting to get in a way where if you can manipulate the session token as well, trying to escalate your user session. I think along the lines here, you would also try to like choose the right tools, try to scan what else is on the website if you can get in without just using like the comment validation.
Thank you, Elise. Mel?
Yeah, I concur with everything they said. I really don't have anything to add on that one.
Okay, that's fine. That's awesome. So next one, the next category would be miscellaneous. And these are meant to be more fun and more discussion-like. So feel free to butt in at any time.
All right. So the first one is just going to be what's your favorite browser that you use and your antivirus if you use one. So let's start with Nathan.
Browser. For my browser, I use Firefox. Search engine, I use DuckDuckGo. Antivirus, I do not really use one. I run a Malwarebytes scan every once in a while, but yeah.
All right, Elise.
Same here, I use Firefox and DuckDuckGo. However, sometimes I do use Google when it comes to searching specific items. You just get more accurate results with their engine. One add-on I do use with Firefox is NoScript. So it just disables JavaScript in case kind of like it stops it floating, and then I don't know what else exactly can show up. As for antivirus, I don't use anything at the moment, but at times I do use, I think my dad has like Symantec.
All right. Yeah, I agree with the DuckDuckGo. I feel like if you're like doing math homework, it's really hard to DuckDuckGo it. I always end up using Google.
I have a quick comment.
Yeah.
Elise, you're saying that you use the NoScript thing, but most browsers or most websites here that use like cool animations and stuff, they all have like JavaScript. I know all the main sites have JavaScript. So do you have to like continuously take out that plugin for that website?
Yeah, so you can pause the plugin for like a certain amount of time, or you can disable by default. I think it's really helpful when it comes to just like reading news on websites such as like, I don't know, like the Washington Post, and then like there's a freaking like disable ad blocker, and it's just like, just don't show me that.
That's true.
All right, we'll move on to Mel.
I use Brave and Windows Defender. That's all I basically need. I mean, I tried Norton for a while. Norton's kind of expensive and kind of clunky and takes up a lot of resources. So Windows Defender does fine for all my systems that I'm using it for. At work, our system that we use at the university is a semantic product that just checks everything. And that's it.
I totally agree with Mel. Norton is definitely clunky. I have to install it and reinstall it on my Mac so many times because there's so much bugs and stuff.
The UC
Also,
is semantic. I don't use it though.
I use Brave, so go Brave. Brave basically has an inbuilt ad blocker that updates itself, or like they have a team developing on that and updates it, so I don't have to worry about it. Plus, there's no YouTube ads or any ads on any site. You can usually take the shields down as well for per site, so that's pretty cool.
So do you own back cryptocurrency?
No, see, I started doing that when I had my Windows laptop. Like I would view the ads a little bit for like some kind of BAT tokens and stuff, but then it just got annoying. And when I moved to my Mac, the notification system actually works because on Windows, I enable notifications on the browser, but disabled it on my Windows machine. So it seems like I'm viewing the notifications, but I'm not. So I was basically getting free BAT. But now since I'm on my Mac and everything works, it sucks because I don't get free BAT. And I just turn that off because it gets annoying. And yeah, I have other stuff to focus on. I have life.
I've been meaning to switch to Brave. My issue was I transitioned from Google Chrome to Firefox at the same time that my dad and brother and all them went to Brave, and I was like, well, it's too much effort to move to Brave, so I've just been using Firefox for the moment.
Join the Brave family.
Yeah, eventually I'll probably do it over the summer or something.
Yeah, Firefox is pretty good for like being super private, right? Data privacy, DuckDuckGo and stuff. I use Google because I don't care like what kind of data they store for me, like whatever. I'm not gonna buy anything from those Google ads. Oh, I also have a Pi-hole set up. We had a workshop for that. Q project had one, I think earlier this semester. So I set that one up, and it basically blocks all Google ads and most Google tracking, most. So let's go into the next question. Now, this question isn't more so what OS do you use for like certain tasks, but rather what is your favorite OS and why? So Nathan?
If I had to say favorite OS, I still think I'd say like Windows for that. Everything just works. It's very easy. If you don't know what you need, you don't have to like search for it. You can just like click through a few things and find it. But in terms of like usability, I would use like some Linux-based OS. So like I mainly use like Ubuntu. But yeah, that's just for like productivity or whatever. I find like the Linux file system easier to work with. But Windows just like works. If I need to do something that's like trivial, I guess I do with Windows.
Thank you, Nathan. I don't know what kind of Windows you have that works, but please do share. At least you want to share.
I guess what I've tried or for personal use, I have a Linux Ubuntu dual boot system with my Windows. I did like Ubuntu since I felt like the load time was faster, plus you could apply a Windows manager on there just to streamline your work as well. So that's like it kind of just like gets rid of your mouse and you have to like keep your hands on the keyboard. It's very nice for work. I did feel like the load time for like starting up different applications on Ubuntu was much faster. I never looked into why, but it did make it a lot more appealing than Windows. But as Nate said, if you just want something to work, most applications do come on Windows. So that's where I'd head to sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Mel?
I'm all Windows, along with the rest of them. I mean, it's got its little issues here and there, but at least we got a big company we can blame if something goes wrong, you know?
Yep. I don't know if you tried to call Windows tech support, but they're notorious for being slow, being just when you call them, the wait time is probably like 3 hours or a couple days, depending on when you call. I mean, I guess that's because the market share for Windows is super high that the company can't even handle that many support tickets. And I guess there's different like Windows forums out there.
I feel like I've had bad issues with Windows too. I kind of want to share my summer experience a few
Go
years
ahead,
ago.
go ahead.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was my first year in college after I finished going into the summer. I had my laptop for the whole year. It was working fine, doing all my coding projects. And then this summer feature update came out. And I guess that Windows and Lenovo didn't communicate. And like it was like a dozen of their ThinkPad laptops gave an update for Windows that was broken. And it just put you in a boot loop. And so I updated my laptop, not thinking anything of it, and then it would never turn on again. Every time you press the power button, it would show the Windows logo. You would hear the fan go all the way up to like the max RPM, and it would just sit there and just run the fan till the battery died. I called them, did everything. They just did not help. And so I ended up buying another laptop and switched to Ubuntu. And I didn't use Windows for like 2 years after that. But now I use Windows again. I just use it for gaming though, not for schoolwork.
Last summer, I also had a problem like that. I updated my Samsung laptop, and it would just automatically give me the BSOD, the blue screen of death, like randomly. I'm like during my Zoom session, doing for like an internship or something. I'm talking to them, and then bam, a blue screen. Yeah, I was working on this super like long report, and thankfully I saved it, but the last paragraph didn't save, and so I had to like, when I restarted my laptop, I just didn't know where my thought process was, and so I had to like totally like restart that.
And also, I want to ask one more thing for, I think it was Nathan and Elise that said they use Ubuntu. Which Ubuntu version do you use? Is it 18 or 20?
Or 16. You
Yeah,
don't
if
want
you're
to
still,
discriminate.
So I use Pop! OS, which is like it's like a variant of Ubuntu. It's on 20.04 right now.
okay.
Yeah.
I like Pop. I haven't used it though. I just like the way it looks.
Yeah, it's really clean. I like it a lot.
Oh, I see there's another Pop! OS in the chat.
David.
Yeah, I was just thinking because I noticed with just the normal Ubuntu, I switched to Ubuntu 20 and it was, I would say, worse than Ubuntu 18. I haven't had, like, everything I could do on Ubuntu 18 was better or a better experience. So I was kind of upset when I made the update.
Elise?
Yeah, I just use Ubuntu 18. This was probably like, I want to say like 2 years ago when I put it in. But a con of it right now is that I don't think I partitioned enough space for it, because there was some time where I was just using my Ubuntu partition for like all my work, and now there's like no space. So now I'm back on Windows and I have to clear out that partition anyways.
Interesting.
Partitions are a mess when you're dealing with Linux and Windows.
Yep. No one uses Raspberry Pi OS. No one here on their Mac or Windows.
I use it on the
Raspbian.
Raspberry Pi, not on anything productive though.
I know there's a Hannah Montana OS out there. So that's what I'm going on right now. All right. Next question. Solomon, I believe this is your question.
Yeah, so if you're doing any coding, what's your favorite IDE? Or if you don't use an IDE, just your favorite text editor? We'll start with Nathan.
VS Code. VS Code is like fast. It just works. Cross-platform. It's everything I need it to be.
Yeah, that's my preferred one too. Elise?
VS Code all the way. I love the plugins. It's so handy.
All right, Mel?
Yeah, I concur.
VS Code. I personally don't like VS Code, nor have I used it. I'm more of a individual kind of guy. I use Atom for like simple things, or if I want to do some heavy project work, then I use JetBrains IDE, mostly because it's free for students. VS Code, I think it's ugly and horrible and so big, and it's just not me. For my text editor, what?
Eclipse.
Eclipse is horrible. It's better than Eclipse, actually.
You had to
I'll
use
give
that
it
for
that.
our freshman year.
Yeah. Well, that's my opinion. Thank you for sharing your opinion. I'll check out VS Code once again because all the professionals here are using it now. Now, our final question of the day that most relates to our this event right here is, if you could give one piece of advice, just one, for up and coming grads that are graduating this semester or recently, what would it be? So let's start with Nathan.
I don't think I'm qualified to answer this question. I'm still a few years away from that point myself, so I think I'll just pass on this.
Elise.
I think just to check on your mental health, given that we're stuck in like Zoom University, and even going out to work, we're still going to be in like, I don't know, Zoom work. I think you need to find a good amount of time to take care of yourself.
All right. Mel, I'm expecting a really good answer from you since this is your entire field, education.
Well, I kind of like this answer actually, because of this pandemic. I mean, everything's been focused on it. We're really not even looking at the future anymore. It's like day by day. But however, I would give advice to a student that is graduating that networking is very important, and use all your resources of all your professors and everybody that and other students that you've met along the way, and use that to deciding which area you want to go into and where you want to actually live, because a lot of times jobs aren't in the area that you're living, so you're going to have to move, and it's something that you're just going to have to you're going to have to come to realization of that not all the particular jobs are in one particular area. With that said, I would say yes, like Elise said, take care of yourself and take care of your family, because it doesn't matter. If you're sick, you can't work anyway, so it doesn't matter. And just be thankful for the time that you've had, throughout your college time, because I mean, that's very important. It's something that's going to be with you the rest of your life. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mel, for your insight. So let's check the chat if there are any audience questions. Okay. Well, if not, thank you for coming, and thank you for your time, panelists. And I wish you guys can come on for another time. So thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.